We have a mission today.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hit pause. We're going to take a step back and look at what this event actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Structurally, historically. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this feels different. It feels fundamentally different than previous Winter Games.
Oh, it is. It is fundamentally different. If you really look closely, this isn't just another sporting event. It's a tale of two eras. It's really, we're looking at this massive 70-year arc.
70 years.
It's a 70-year arc that connects the 1956 Cortina Games, the very first Italian Winter Olympics, to what we're about to see, the 2026 Milano Cortina Games.
And that is the core tension we really want to unpack today. How do you go from a small village gathering in the 1950s to what we're seeing now?
To this, yeah.
I mean, this is the first Olympic Games to officially feature two host cities right there in its name, Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo. They're calling it a diffuse event.
Diffuse is the polite marketing term. I think a better term is giga event. We are talking about a footprint of 22,000 square kilometers.
22,000. That number is it's absolutely massive. So the question is, how does an event evolve from this localized, intimate thing into a regional, decentralized operation? And maybe more importantly,
yeah, the why.
Is this evolution the salvation of the Winter Games? Or is it a sign of a model that's just been stretched to its absolute breaking point?
That is the multi-billion euro question, isn't it? And to answer it, we have to get into the weeds. We're going to have to talk about the concrete snake, that controversial bobsleigh track everyone is fighting about.
Right.
We're going to talk about U.S. IC agents operating on Italian soil, which has caused a, significant diplomatic stir.
A big one. And of course,
we have to talk about the stoats.
We have to talk about the stoats. The stoats are essential to this entire narrative. But let's start at the beginning, or I guess the spiritual beginning. Let's go back to 1956, Section 1, the ghosts of 1956. Why is this specific year the blueprint for everything happening next week?
Well, to understand 2026, you absolutely have to understand the ghost that haunts it. Cortina d'Ampezzo wasn't just some random choice back in the 50s.
No.
It was a destination with a deferred dream. Cortina had actually been awarded the 1944 Games.
Which, of course, were canceled, World War II.
Exactly. So you have this pent-up desire, this vision that's been waiting for over a decade. And there was a key figure, a man named Count Alberto Bonacasa.
Oh, right.
He was a true Renaissance man of winter sports.
Hey.
A skier, a skater, an IOC member. He was the driving force. He traced the vision all the way back to 1939, persuading the city council to bid. He fought for decades to bring the games to the Dolomites.
So he was the champion for it.
He was. But the tragedy is he died on January 30th, 1953.
Oh, wow. That's heartbreaking. That's almost exactly 3 years to the day before the games began.
He never got to see his vision come to life. But what he set in motion was just remarkable. I mean, think about it. In 1956, Cortina was a village, a tiny village.
We're talking, what, a few thousand people?
Maybe 6,000 people, and yet this tiny village hosted the entire event solo. Every athlete, every single event was right there.
It sounds so quaint compared to today, but reading through the history, these were actually called the first modern games. So why? What made a small village gathering modern in 1956?
It was the technology. The 1956 Games were a huge pivot point, especially for media. This was the first Winter Olympics to be televised live to a multinational audience.
That is a massive shift. I mean, before that, you read about it in the paper a day later, or you saw a newsreel in the cinema a week later?
Precisely. Suddenly, it wasn't a distant event. 8 European countries received the broadcast. It completely changed the relationship between the public and winter sports. Suddenly, skiing wasn't just something happening on some far-off, inaccessible mountain.
It was in your living room.
It was right there in your living room. It globalized the entire brand of winter sports overnight.
And it wasn't just the TV cameras, was it? The tech on the slopes was changing too.
Oh, huge leaps. This was the introduction of timing to the 100th of a second.
100th of a second.
Before this, margins were looser, they were often hand-timed. This brought a new level of precision. They also introduced automated starting gates in skiing, using optical signals and acoustic buzzers.
So it took the human error out of the start.
Exactly. It turned skiing from a race into a data sport, really.
And what about the torch relay? That's such a staple now.
Well, this was only the second time a Winter Games ever had a torch relay. The flame was lit in Rome and then traveled all the way to Cortina. So you see, so many of the rituals we just take for granted today really solidified right there in 1956.
Now here is where it gets really, really interesting for our comparison to 2026. In 1956, they did not build an Olympic village.
That's correct. And it's fascinating because it was a decision born of economic necessity. But it looks like absolute genius sustainability in hindsight.
Maybe not. Why didn't they build one?
The town was just too small, and the hoteliers, the local business owners, they were terrified. They thought if the organizers built a massive, state-funded athlete village, it would flood the market with rooms after the games and put them all out of business.
That makes perfect sense. So what did they do?
The athletes just stayed in local hotels and family homes.
Which sounds incredibly cozy, but
Yeah.
but that also mirrors exactly what they're trying to do in 2026, isn't it?
It creates this perfect 70-year legacy loop. The 2026 approach is all about using existing infrastructure. In 1956, it was just pragmatic thriftiness. In 2026, it's a sustainability mandate from the IOC.
But the result is the same.
The result is the same, integrating the athletes into the community rather than, isolating them in some purpose-built fortress.
We also have to look at the geopolitical landscape of 56. I mean, the Cold War was really heating up.
It was. And this was the Soviet debut at the Winter Olympics. And they didn't just show up to participate, they arrived to dominate.
This was a political statement?
Absolutely. Nikita Khrushchev saw sports as a vital theater to project communist superiority. And they did it. The USSR ended Canada's long reign in ice hockey, which was a massive shock to the system.
It's a huge upset.
They dominated speed skating. It was a very clear message. We are here. We are a modern, powerful nation.
And on the individual side, you had legends being born. Tony Saylor.
The Blitz from Kits, the Austrian skier who swept all 3 Alpine gold medals, downhill, slalom, giant slalom, a clean sweep. But listen to this margin. He won the giant slalom by 6.2 seconds.
Wait, 6.2 seconds. In modern skiing, the difference between gold and fourth place is usually, a few tenths of a second.
Exactly. A 6.2-second margin today would imply that everyone else literally fell down and had a picnic on the way. It was superhuman domination.
Unbelievable. And figure skating was still held outdoors.
The last time ever at an Olympics? Just imagine that. Skating for a gold medal under the open sky, dealing with the wind, the sun on the ice.
That's wild.
And there was a Canadian pair, Francis Defoe and Norris Bowden, who actually changed the sport right there in Cortina. They performed these incredible overhead lifts that were technically illegal at the time.
What do you mean illegal?
They just weren't in the rule books. No one had done them before. They were too advanced for the rules.
So what did the judges do?
They gave them first place marks anyway, and the rules were rewritten in 1959 to include them. So you see, 1956 was this real crucible of innovation, both technically and athletically.
Okay, so that is the ghost we are chasing. A compact, innovative, village-based games that really punched above its weight. Now, let's fast forward 70 years, Section 2, the 2026 model. We are definitely no longer in a village, are we?
Far, far from it. We have moved from the Olympic city concept to the Olympic territory concept.
Territory.
The 2026 Games cover 22,000 square kilometers across Lombardy, Veneto, and the autonomous provinces of Trento and Bolzano.
That scale is just... It's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
It's like hosting the games across a small country. It really is.
It is, without a doubt, the most geographically dispersed Winter Games in history. And it's organized into 4 main clusters.
Right, so you have Milan first, the big urban hub.
That's your urban hub. That's where you'll find the ice sports hockey, figure skating, short track, and of course the opening ceremony at the legendary San Siro Stadium.
Then you have Cortina d'Ampezzo, the heritage hub.
The heritage hub, exactly. They've taken the women's alpine skiing, the curling, and the sliding sports, bobsleigh, luge, skeleton, keeping that history alive.
Okay, then we go to the Valtellina cluster.
This includes 2 key towns, Bormio and Livigno. Bormio gets the men's alpine skiing on the Stelvio slope, which is frankly terrifying. It's just a sheet of ice.
Notorious.
And Livigno gets all the new cool stuff. Snowboarding, freestyle skiing.
And the fourth one is Val di Fiemme.
Your Nordic hub. Ski jumping, cross-country, Nordic combined, all the endurance sports.
So, okay, let's play this out. If I am a fan and I want to see a hockey game in Milan one night and then go see the women's slalom in Cortina the next day, that's not a quick subway ride.
No, it's not. It is a 400-kilometer drive. It's about a 5-hour drive. And that's assuming good weather in the mountains in February.
Which is a big assumption.
A huge assumption. This is the logistics challenge. They are relying heavily on a train and ride system to move 3,500 athletes, plus media, plus thousands of fans between these venues. It creates a totally different vibe. You aren't all in one place anymore.
So why do it this way? Why make it so incredibly complicated?
To avoid the white elephants, that's the one phrase that drove this whole bid.
The empty stadiums.
The empty, rotting stadiums. We saw what happened in Sochi, we saw it in Rio, we saw it in other cities where they built these massive bespoke venues that sat empty the day after the closing ceremony. The philosophy here is use what exists.
And the number is what, over 90%?
90 to 93% of the venues for 2026 are either existing or temporary. So instead of building a massive new ski jump near Milan, you go to where the world-class ski jumps already are in Val di Fiemme.
It makes sense on paper.
It de-risks the event financially, it spreads the economic benefit across a wider region, and theoretically it even de-risks it from a weather perspective. If one valley has a bad snow week, the others might be fine.
But the trade-off is this immense pressure on the transportation network.
Immense.
Okay, talking about infrastructure and big risks, we have to get into the biggest controversy of these games. Section 3, the concrete snake, the bobsleigh track.
This has been a saga, a true Italian drama. The Eugenio Monti track in Cortina, it's legendary. It was used in 1956, but it had fallen into complete disrepair. It was a ruin.
And the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, had a very clear opinion on this.
Very clear, crystal clear. They told Italy in no uncertain terms, do not build a new track.
They explicitly said don't do it.
Explicitly. They practically begged them not to. They suggested using the particularly good existing track in Innsbruck, Austria, or St. Moritz, Switzerland. They said, save the money, save the trees.
But Italy said no.
The Italian government, particularly the Veneto region, argued that a domestic track was essential for national heritage, for national pride. They couldn't imagine hosting the games without a bobsleigh track on Italian soil. They viewed it as preserving the soul of the Italian games.
And the cost of that soul.
Well, the original estimate was floating around 50 million euros.
Which is already a lot.
A lot. The reality, the final cost has ballooned upwards of 100, even 120 million euros.
Ouch. And that's just the financial cost. What about the environmental cost?
That's where the protests really kicked into high gear. To build this new track, they had to fell hundreds of old-growth larch trees in the Ronco forest.
So there are protests on site.
Oh yeah, significant protests. Environmental groups were furious. They pointed to the 2006 Turin track in Sassana, which was built for those games, and is now completely abandoned and rotting, a classic white elephant. They asked, why are we making the exact same mistake again?
So how did they justify it? How do they claim this one will be different?
They claim it's a new model. For one, they built it in a record 300 days, an insane sprint to the finish line. And they used a glycol refrigeration system, which is safer and less toxic than the traditional ammonia systems.
And the plan for after the games?
The plan is to turn it into a year-round tourist attraction, a bobsleigh museum, taxi bob rides for tourists, things like that, to keep it financially viable, but it remains a massive, massive gamble.
Speaking of environmental gambles,
Yeah.
let's talk about snow. Because looking at the forecast, or just general climate trends, snow is not a guarantee anymore, even in the Alps.
This is the climate paradox of the Winter Olympics. And it's terrifying. New research suggests that by 2050, so less than 25 years from now, only about 10 of the former Winter Olympic host cities will be climatically viable to host again.
Only 10.
We are literally running out of cold places.
So what's the plan for 2026? What happens if nature doesn't cooperate?
Artificial snow. Lots and lots of artificial snow. They are relying heavily on automated, high-tech artificial snow systems.
Okay, so is that better or worse than the old snow cannons?
It's complicated. On the pro side, the new systems are incredibly efficient. They use GPS monitoring to see exactly where snow is needed on the slopes, down to the centimeter. They use about 30% less water and energy than older systems.
But the con is?
The con is it's still artificial. It's still incredibly water intensive. You're pulling massive amounts of water out of the local ecosystem. And studies have shown that putting that much man-made snow on the ground year after year can degrade the soil quality underneath.
So it's a technological Band-Aid.
It's a very expensive, very sophisticated technological Band-Aid on a much bigger climate wound.
While we are on infrastructure, let's look at Milan, because the urban regeneration story there is actually pretty fascinating.
This is a definite bright spot in the whole story. The Olympic Village in Milan is in the Porta Romana district. It was built on an old, derelict rail yard.
So they're redeveloping an industrial scar.
Exactly. Transforming it into a functional, modern district. It's a huge win for the city.
And the key question, what happens to it after the athletes leave?
This is the best part. This is the model legacy. It converts immediately into student housing, 1,700 beds.
Wow.
Milan has a massive, and I mean massive, housing crisis for university students. So this leaves a direct, tangible social legacy that addresses a real-world problem.
And I read something about the furniture.
Yeah.
That they were reusing it.
Yes. Talk about the circular economy in action. They repurchased 20,000 pieces of furniture and equipment from the Paris 2024 Summer Games.
So the beds are recycled.
The beds the athletes sleep on in Milan might literally be the same ones used in Paris 6 months earlier. It's a brilliant example of reducing waste at these huge events.
That is actually really cool. It just makes so much sense. Okay, let's shift gears. We have the buildings, we have the snow, real or fake. What about the vibe? Section 4, branding and culture.
The look of the games, it really all started with the logo. And this was a first. For the first time ever, the Olympic emblem was chosen by a global public vote.
The people chose, for real.
They really did. The organizing committee put 2 designs out there, Dato and Futura, and let the world vote. Over 870,000 votes were cast online.
And Futura won.
Futura won by a landslide, got 75% of the vote.
Describe it for us. What does it look like?
It's very elegant, very minimalist. It depicts the number 26 traced in a single continuous stroke,
Okay.
like someone drawing in the snow with their finger or on a misted-up window pane. The idea behind it is that small gestures can change the world. It's meant to feel sustainable and inclusive.
And the slogan that goes with it?
It's your vibe.
It's your vibe.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a play on words. E.T., capital I, capital T for Italy. And it is. So Italy is your vibe. It's meant to connect the personal experience of the games to the national identity of Italy.
I can see that. I like it. But I know what the people really want to hear about. The mascots. We have stoats.
We have stoats, Tina and Milo.
Why stoats? Of all the beautiful animals in the Alps, why a stoat?
It's actually quite deep, quite symbolic. Stoats embody the Italian spirit of adaptation.
How so?
In the summer, their fur is brown, but in the winter, it turns brilliant white to blend in with the snow. They physically adapt to their environment to survive and thrive.
That fits perfectly with the theme of climate change and resilience.
Exactly. And the 2 mascots represent the 2 host cities. Tina is the Olympic mascot. She's a creative dreamer from the mountains who moved to the city. Her name comes from Cortina.
Cortina, got it. And Milo.
Milo is the Paralympic mascot. His name comes from Milan. And Milo is born without a leg.
Really? That's a bold choice.
It is, and it's brilliant. He uses his tail to walk and get around. He represents ingenuity, willpower, and problem solving. It's a very practical and inspiring representation of disability and adaptation.
And they have a posse.
They do. They have backup dancers, the flow. They're a group of 6 little snowdrop flowers. They're meant to represent hopefulness, blossoming even in the cold of winter.
That's a whole ecosystem. Okay, the ceremonies. We mentioned San Siro for the opening. That's a football cathedral. That's going to be a different feel.
A very different feel. It's not an athletic stadium with a huge track separating the fans from the show. The fans are going to be right on top of the action. The theme is Armonia, or harmony.
And the closing. This is the one that blows my mind.
The closing is at the Verona Arena. This is breathtaking. We're talking about a 1st century Roman amphitheater.
Where gladiators used to fight.
Literally. And now it will host the closing of the Winter Games and the opening of the Paralympics. But here is the real lasting legacy win.
What's that?
To make that ancient 2,000-year-old arena usable for the Paralympics, they had to invest 20 million euros in accessibility renovations.
So they're putting elevators in a Roman amphitheater.
Elevators, ramps, accessible restrooms. They're calling it Design for All. And that is a permanent upgrade to a global heritage site that will now allow people with disabilities to access history for decades to come. That is a legacy that goes far beyond sport.
That's incredible. That is a true legacy. Okay, let's get to the action. Section 5. The sports and the athletes. What is new on the menu for 2026?
The big headline is ski mountaineering, or skimo, as it's known.
Skimo, that's the one where they climb up the mountain on their skis and then they ski down.
That's basically it. It's exhausting just to watch. It's this incredible endurance event. It connects back to the roots of winter travel in the Alps. It's making its Olympic debut.
What else?
Also, we finally have women's doubles luge.
About time.
It is. And that addition contributes to a really important statistic. These will be the most gender-balanced Winter Games ever.
What's the number?
47% female participation. Women will compete in 50 medal events. We're getting closer and closer to full parity.
That's great to see. Who do we need to keep our eyes on? especially on the Italian side.
From an Italian perspective, all eyes are on the queens of Cortina,
Sofia Goggia and Federica Brignone.
the two titans. Goggia's the one with that incredibly aggressive, almost reckless style.
She skis like she has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
It is heart-in-your-mouth stuff every time she's on the course.
It is. And Brignone is the most successful Italian female skier in history, the winningest of all time. They are carrying the torch of Tomba mania.
Alberto Tomba. Tomba la Bamba.
You can't talk about Italian skiing without him. In the 90s, they literally stopped the Sanremo Music Festival, which is like the Super Bowl of Italian culture. They paused it mid-show to broadcast his races live.
No way.
That's the legacy of passion for skiing that Goggia and Brignone are tapping into right now.
And we mentioned the Paralympics earlier. It's a big anniversary for them.
It is. The 50th anniversary of the Winter Paralympics. They run from March 6th to 15th. And there's one tech highlight you have to watch for in the biathlon for visually impaired athletes.
Right. How do they aim? How does that work?
They use something called electroacoustic glasses. The rifle doesn't fire a projectile during practice or sighting. It sends a signal. The athlete hears a tone in their headphones. As they aim closer to the center of the target, the pitch of that sound changes. It gets higher.
So they aim with their ears.
They aim entirely with their ears. It's an incredible feat of concentration and precision.
That is mind-blowing. Technology meeting human will in the most amazing way. Now, we have to address the elephant in the room, or maybe the bear in the room. Section 6, Geopolitics and Security.
The world is a complicated place right now, and the Olympics always act as a mirror to that. First, we have the ongoing issue of the neutral athletes.
The AIN status.
Right. Russian and Belarusian athletes are allowed to compete, but only as individual neutral athletes due to the ongoing invasion of Ukraine. No flags, no anthems, no national colors.
And this has caused an actual media boycott, right?
It has. Latvian public media has officially announced a broadcast boycott. When an AIN athlete is competing, they will cut away from the live feed.
What will they show instead?
Commercials, studio interviews, anything else. They are refusing to show those athletes on screen in their country. It's a very significant political statement.
And beyond that, security is just a massive concern in general. We're living in an age of drones and cyber warfare.
The entire threat landscape has changed. They are deeply worried about lone actor drone attacks. And on the digital front, cyber attacks, phishing scams, targeting the ticketing systems, trying to steal data, create chaos. It's an invisible war being fought behind the scenes.
But there is a very visible controversy happening right now regarding security on the ground. The story about the ICE agents.
This has been all over the Italian press, led by the newspaper Il Fatto Quotidiano. Reports were confirmed that U.S. ICE agents, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, are stationed in Italy, specifically in Rome and Milan, to assist with security for the Games.
And the Italian public is not happy about that.
There has been a significant backlash. Protests in the street. The argument is, why are foreign police forces operating on our sovereign soil? It touches a very raw nerve about national sovereignty.
How did the government respond to these reports?
It was messy, to be honest. The Italian Interior Minister, Cantadosi, initially denied knowledge, or he downplayed it, saying he wasn't aware of the specifics.
But the U.S. confirmed it.
But then the U.S. State Department came out and confirmed that, yes, it was part of a standard diplomatic security service coordination for major events. So it created a lot of friction and confusion just days before the opening.
And sadly, amidst all this, we've already had a tragedy directly related to the preparations.
We have a man named Pietro Zantonini. He was a security guard working at one of the sites in Cortina. He died from cold exposure during his overnight shift, just guarding a site in January.
That is just heartbreaking.
It is, and it's a very stark reminder of the harsh realities of this winter environment. Even amidst all the celebration and the high-tech solutions, it grounds the whole event in a very human tragedy.
It really does. So we have the history, we have the logistics, the controversies, the athletes. Let's try to bring this all together as we wrap up.
Well, if we synthesize all of this, what we're looking at is a massive high-stakes experiment. We have gone from the analog, village-based games of 1956, where everyone could literally walk to the venues,
to the digital, decentralized, sprawling 2026 games.
The diffuse game. And the big question is, can it actually work? Can you move thousands of people across 22,000 square kilometers efficiently and safely?
And maybe just as important, can you maintain that Olympic spirit, that feeling of unity, when the athletes themselves are separated by a 5-hour drive?
And can you do it all without bankrupting the region or destroying the very mountain environment you claim to be celebrating?
Which brings us to our final provocative thought. It feels like Milano Cortina 2026 is attempting to balance a series of distinct, almost competing binaries.
It really is. You have city versus mountain. You have history versus modernity. You have pristine natural snow versus the reality of climate change.
It feels like a genuine tipping point for the entire Olympic movement.
It absolutely is. And so the question for you, for the listener, is this. As the climate continues to warm and the cost of hosting these events continues to soar, is this decentralized, region-wide model the salvation of the Winter Olympics? Is this the flexible, sustainable blueprint that saves the games for the next century?
Yeah.
Or is this the final, stretched thin gasp of an event that is simply and sadly running out of places to go?
That is the question to keep in your mind as you watch the opening ceremony this coming Friday. It's going to be a fascinating couple of weeks.
It really is.
Thank you for unpacking all of this with us. And to everyone listening, enjoy the games. We will see you on the other side.